Hermvids with Mr. Hermit. Educational videos about reading and writing. The word to describe that sound would be cacophony. Cacophony is a horrible combination of nasty sounding or terrible sounding noises. This can be applied to poetry, actually. So today we're going to talk about euphony and cacophony used in poetry. Cacophony and euphony are sound terms that are used for poetry. We've been talking a lot about word sounds and how they can impact the meaning and flow of a poem. This is another way to think of that. This is taken from Mr. Murray's literature page, who has a great resource and a great way of thinking of these two terms. I recommend you guys check it out. You can just Google it. Cacophony itself is an ugly word, so that's a great way to think of it. It's the use of harsh, unpleasant sounds, or a mixture of discordant sounds. This can be applied to music. In music, it refers to the harsh and seemingly unrelated chords. Sometimes thrash metal or heavy metal gets into cacophony a bit. You can use it with word sounds to express harsher ideas, something that's less smooth and pleasant. Now, on the flip side, euphony, which sounds a lot better than cacophony, is the use of pleasant and agreeable sounds. Most sound devices and rhymes produce euphony, so what we've been talking about produces more pleasant sounds. In music, it's more like an agreeable, harmonious sound. Think of like the harp or the acoustic guitar. You might use this to express gentler themes and to provide some relief from cacophony. There are tons of different ways you guys can experiment with these two terms, and I encourage you to do so. Let's take a look at an example from Mr. Murray's literature page. He talks about Neil Young, a famous singer-songwriter. The following Neil Young lyrics contain both sound devices, cacophony and euphony. To make it more interesting, Young has two treatments of the song. He has a harsh version and a more pleasant-sounding acoustic version. It's a great song. I recommend you check it out. Hey, hey, my, out of the blue, and then hey, hey, my, into the black. So in this version, you can kind of see both. My, hey, hey is kind of a pleasing sounding euphony, and again, we talked about the vowel sounds and the liquids earlier on, and then the mutes. Rock and roll is here to stay. It's better to burn out than to fade away. That's a great line right there from Neil Young. Out of the blue and into the black. They give you this, but you pay for that. You can never come back. Blue, black. King is gone, but he's not forgotten. This is the story of Johnny Rotten. It's better to burn out than it is to rust. So he's saying some pretty intense things here. It's better to die young, he's saying, than go out as an old, forgotten rock star. He's saying things like it's better to burn out than to rust. These are things about death. But then he goes on to this more pleasing idea down here at the end. Hey, hey, my, rock and roll can never die. It's a more pleasing rhymes, actually, where the first two do not. There's more to the picture than meets the eye. Hey, hey, my. He's talking more about living on forever here. A little bit more pleasing than just talk about burning out instead of fading away. Another classic example of cacophony is the Jabberwocky poem, and again the title Jabberwocky, which describes a hideous monster, is cacophony itself. And it has this weird sound to it when you say it out loud that is not really pleasing to hear. 'Twas brillig and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves and the mome raths outgrabe. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the jub bird and shun the friminous bandersnatch. So many examples of mutes and cacophony used in there to describe a hideous creature. Flip side, there's euphony. John Keats was this romantic poem, and this poem called Autumn kind of embellishes and uses euphony to create pleasing sounding lines. Season of mists and mellow fruitfulness, close bosom friend of the maturing sun, conspiring with him how to load and bless with fruit the vines that round the thatch eaves run, to bend with apples the moss cottage trees, and fill all fruit with ripeness to the core, to swell the gourd and plump the hazel shells with a sweet kernel to set budding more, and still more later flowers for the bees, until they think warm days will never cease, for summer has o'er-brimmed their clammy cells. So a lot of pleasing sounding words there. It gives this pleasant nature feel, almost like a corgi coming out of a patch of leaves. For this unit, you're going to brainstorm some ways to write with cacophony and euphony. You're going to list harsh colors, sounds, emotions, animals, and weather. Use those words if they also sound harsh to create a line of cacophony. And then do the same thing with euphony, and that'll give you a handle on how you can use this in your own poetry. To recap very quickly, cacophony, harsh sounds, euphony,